Hi everybody, it's Noah, also known as Cinematic Jurassic, and I am back yet again with another collection video, this time going over my entire dinosaur home video collection. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, just to show off all the dinosaur and paleo-related media that I own, since it sort of, fits the theme of what I talk about on here and on my Instagram page, and also because it's Jurassic June, and I thought that this would be a pretty fun collection video to close out the month with. So yeah. So here we are, the entire dinosaur home video collection. I've decided that I'm going to divide this video into 3 distinct sections. We'll start off with movies, TV shows, and then finish off with documentaries. As you can see, this is clearly going to be a very extensive video, but nevertheless, I'm really excited to take y'all on this journey through my dinosaur home video collection. So yeah, let's begin. So first up in the movies, we have 2023 65, starring Adam Driver. This was a pretty underwhelming dinosaur movie, and it's a shame, really, because it was one of the first quote-unquote big theatrical dinosaur movies that wasn't associated with the Jurassic franchise. And it was just really underwhelming. The dinosaurs are really underutilized, and the story is pretty bare bones and basic, and unnecessarily convoluted when it didn't need to be. So it's really a shame because I do want to see more non-Jurassic theatrical dinosaur films, and sadly this one just didn't really hit the mark, but hopefully that'll change with future projects such as Primitive War. Next up we have 2008's 100 Million BC. This is the first of a few dinosaur films you'll see in this collection that are from the legendary B-movie mockbuster studio, The Asylum. This is one I have a lot of fond memories of watching with my brother. It's nothing remarkable, of course, given that it's an Asylum film, but it's just one that I've always enjoyed. And same thing goes with 2013's Age of Dinosaurs. Again, not a great film by any means, but just a lot of fun seeing dinosaurs rampage through Los Angeles. Next up is Baby Secret of the Lost Legends from 1985, I believe. This has a pretty basic story. A group of scientists discover a mother brontosaurus and her baby, and basically have to protect them from an evil scientist. So yeah, not really a lot to say. The animatronics are cute, albeit sometimes kind of creepy as well. But it is a charming, fun little movie. As you can probably guess, the next film that you see here, 1957's The Black Scorpion, is not a dinosaur movie. However, the reason I've included it is because of what's featured on the back in the special features. That being the prehistoric sequence of Irwin Allen's 1956 documentary, The Animal World. This 10-minute long opening sequence served as sort of a prologue to Allen's documentary, which mostly focused on extant creatures living today. The prehistoric sequence features stop-motion animation from the two legends, Ray Harryhausen and Willis O'Brien. In fact, it was the last project that both of them worked on together. As far as I know, there is an actual DVD release of The Animal World featuring the entire documentary, including the prehistoric sequence, but I do not currently own this at the moment. Next up is a double feature of Carnosaur and Carnosaur 2, two iconic low-budget B-movie dinosaur movies that I greatly enjoy, particularly the second one. Also, completing the Carnosaur trilogy, I also own Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. Next up is a Blu-ray release of Disney's Dinosaur, one of the most iconic dinosaur movies ever made. And so we go from a Disney dinosaur film to something less family-friendly. 1996's Dinosaur Babes continues in the tradition of subgenre dinosaur films that feature beautiful women wearing barely anything, portraying cave women living alongside dinosaurs. It's pretty much what you'd expect. Same goes for 1995's Dinosaur Island from Roger Corman. The thing that makes this one distinct is the fact that it actually reuses props from the Carnosaur movies. 2012's The Dinosaur Project takes the found footage route of having explorers go to a region inhabited by dinosaurs. Not really much to say, pretty average flick. 2020's Dinosaur World is one of the few films in my dinosaur home video collection that I still haven't actually watched yet, but just the cover alone got my attention. I mean, look how weird of a mixture this is. We've got Rexy from the Jurassic World trilogy, mixed with the Gorgosaurus from the 2013 3D Walking with Dinosaurs movie. And is that blue down there? I don't know. This is just a very bizarre mixture of dinosaur models from different movies. Wonder if this is how they actually look in the movie. Guess I'll have to check it out soon. 1960s Dinosaurus is more of a cult classic. This one features a young boy who befriends a Brontosaurus and a Neanderthal frozen in ice, while a small Caribbean town faces off against the vicious T-Rex. It's a simple premise, but charming enough, and overall an enjoyable 60s dinosaur flick. 2006's The Eden Formula is sort of an unofficial sequel/spinoff to the main Carnosaur trilogy. I say unofficial because it really doesn't have anything to do with the Carnosaur films outside of the fact that it uses the same T-Rex model from those films and is executed in some really poor compositing effects that just don't look well at all. But hey, it does have the late great Tony Todd in it, so there is that. I should stress there also is one more unofficial Carnosaur sequel/spinoff called Raptor from 2001. But I've heard that one is so bad and has really no new actual dinosaur footage that I just haven't even bothered getting that one. Next up, we have a double feature of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla vs. Mothra: The Battle for Earth. I really only included it in here for Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, mainly due to the fact that we get to see the awesome Godzillasaurus, which was the precursor to what would become known as Godzilla before he was fully mutated. The main protagonists of the film encounter this dinosaur when they travel back in time, and we get to have this awesome line.
Take that, you dinosaur!
1959's Journey to the Center of the Earth takes the rather cheap and sort of ethically questionable approach of using live lizards and alligators to portray the dinosaurs in the film. Most notably, the lizards with the sails on their backs that are meant to be Dimetrodons. 2008's Journey to the Center of the Earth, starring Brendan Fraser, features really only one notable dinosaur. That being the albino Giganotosaurus T-Rex? It's not really specified what species it is in the film itself. Nevertheless, it's really cool to see and worth watching the film. 2018's The Jurassic Games is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The Hunger Games, but with dinosaurs. 10 death row criminals must survive in a TV show known as The Jurassic Games, where they fight for survival against ferocious dinosaurs. Despite the dumb-sounding name and silly premise, the film is actually pretty decent as far as B-movie dinosaur films go, and the dinosaur designs themselves are actually pretty good. If you go just by the cover, then yes, they obviously look like generic movie monsters. But when you actually watch the film, they look pretty solid. So as far as B-movie dinosaur films go, this is one that I would actually suggest giving a chance. And then we get to the pinnacle of the movie portion of the collection, that being the Jurassic films. Oh boy. As you can see, I have many different copies of the Jurassic films. And so this will be a little bit extensive, but we'll get through it. So starting off with the VHSs, I have 2 VHS copies of the original Jurassic Park. The one you see on the left here is actually my original VHS copy of the film that I watched for the first time when I was around 5 or 6 years old. This VHS right here was my introduction to the Jurassic franchise, and I've been a fan ever since. Next up, we have my VHS copy of The Lost World Jurassic Park, which also comes with a really cool lenticular slipcover. And then finally, closing off the VHS portion, we have my standard VHS copy of Jurassic Park 3. Moving on to the DVD portion, I have the collector's edition set of Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park. These DVDs were released in, I believe, the year 2000, before Jurassic Park 3. I also have another collector's edition DVD of Jurassic Park, this one being a DTS DVD that includes digital surround sound. One was also released for the Lost World Jurassic Park, but I do not have this one yet. And then finally, we also have my collector's edition DVD of Jurassic Park 3. Also, I have the Jurassic Park Adventure Pack, released in 2005. These were essentially the same DVDs as those seen on the previously released collector's editions, but they came in this really cool box set, And this was also the first DVD copy I ever got of the original Jurassic Park trilogy, as well as my introduction to the Lost World Jurassic Park, which up until that point was the only Jurassic Park film from the original 3 films that I had yet to see. Moving on to the Blu-rays, we have the Jurassic Park Ultimate Trilogy Blu-ray set, which I think most fans are familiar with, and this is still my preferred go-to version of the films to watch. I also own a Steelbook version of the Ultimate Trilogy Blu-ray set that also includes the DVDs. And then we have what may be the pride and joy of my entire Blu-ray collection, that being the Steven Spielberg Director's Collection set, which includes some of his most iconic films, including Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park. I think this set is out of print and really hard to find now, but if you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend adding it to your collection if you're a Jurassic Park fan or a fan of Steven Spielberg in general. And then we move on to the World Trilogy. I have my Jurassic World Steelbook, as well as my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Best Buy exclusive Steelbook. I also own a double feature Blu-ray copy of Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And then to close out the Jurassic portion of the movies, we have the Jurassic World Ultimate Collection set, which contains all 6 current movies. And yes, this is my only copy I own of Jurassic World Dominion. And so we move on from the Jurassic series to another iconic dinosaur series, that being the King Kong films. Obviously, I've only included the ones that include dinosaurs. That being the original 1933 classic, which I own in a Digibook Blu-ray. And then we also have the American version of King Kong Escapes on Blu-ray, in which Kong fights the dinosaur kaiju Gorosaurus. And then finishing off, we of course have Peter Jackson's King Kong from 2005. I own 2 different versions of this film, the Ultimate Edition Blu-ray set, as well as a Universal Pictures Steelbook version. Both versions contain both the theatrical and extended editions of the film. And then moving on to another iconic dinosaur movie series, we have the Land Before Time films. I own the original Land Before Time on Blu-ray, and then I own sequels 2 through 10 on triple feature DVD sets. The first set contains 2 through 4, the next set contains 5 through 7, and the next set contains 8 through 10. There is another set that also includes movies 11 through 13, but I personally did not grow up with those ones as a kid, and from what I've heard from other LBT fans, they're really bad, so I just decided to not even bother collecting it and just stop at number 10. We also have a Blu-ray copy of Land of the Lost from 2009 starring Will Ferrell, a terrible adaptation of the 1974 Sid and Mari Croft show, but when looked at as its own thing, I've always enjoyed this movie as a fun, dumb, guilty pleasure. I also own a Blu-ray copy of 1974's The Land That Time Forgot, starring B-movie star Doug McClure, and it comes in this really cool green Blu-ray case, which I'm not sure why, but hey, it looks really cool. I also own the Asylum version of The Land That Time Forgot that came out in 2009. And again, this is another B-movie Asylum film that I think is actually pretty decent. So if I was going to recommend any dinosaur B-movies from Asylum, this is the one I would probably recommend the most. And then we have the rather infamous 1957 B-movie The Land Unknown, which has quite possibly the worst T-Rex design I've ever seen in a major motion picture dinosaur movie. And that's saying something. 1977's The Last Dinosaur is a major guilty pleasure for me when it comes to cheesy dinosaur movies. This one was actually an American-Japanese co-production between Rankin Bass and Tsuburaya Productions, and follows in the latter's tradition of bringing the dinosaur to life through suitmation, making this a tokusatsu dinosaur film in the same vein as kaiju movies like Godzilla. It's not a great film by any means, but it does have some fun cheesy moments. And lead star Richard Boone is definitely the highlight of the film.
You ding-dong!
Also from 1977, we have yet another tokusatsu dinosaur film, that being The Legend of Dinosaurs and Monster Birds. This one being produced by Toei, who were best known for their own version of Spider-Man. And then we move on to my many different versions of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. I have 2 copies of the original 1925 silent classic. One being a terrible quality DVD release from PC Treasures, and another being a Blu-ray release from Flicker Alley and Black Hawk Films. I highly recommend getting your hands on this version if you can. I also have the 1960 version of The Lost World by Irwin Allen that carries on in the same tradition as Journey to the Center of the Earth of using live lizards and alligators to portray the so-called dinosaurs. And then finally, I have the 1992 version of The Lost World starring Gimli himself, John Rhys Davies, as Professor Challenger. This DVD set I own also includes its direct sequel, Return to the Lost World. Next, we have the Night at the Museum trilogy that features our beloved Rexy. No, not that Rexy, but the dinosaur actually named Rexy in the movies. And then we have 1966's 1 Million Years BC, one of my all-time favorite dinosaur movies, as well as being one of the most iconic for Raquel Welch's role and depiction in the film. The Blu-ray I own is from KL Studios and features both the international and US versions of the film. 1977's Planet of Dinosaurs came out in the wake of the original Star Wars popularity, and is basically just a Star Wars ripoff but with stop-motion dinosaurs. What more could you ask for? 1996's Pterodactyl Woman from Beverly Hills is a crazy trauma movie starring Vacation's Beverly D'Angelo, who basically turns into a pterodactyl woman after a shaman puts a curse on her. Yeah. Raptor Island, again, another really fun, low-budget B-movie dinosaur film that I think is not half bad. And then what we have here is a Blu-ray special effects collection of some notable Warner Brothers creature features. But for the sake of the dinosaur home video collection, the two I'm going to focus on that are included are Son of Kong, which was the direct sequel to 1933's King Kong, even coming out the same year, as well as 1953's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which was not only Ray Harryhausen's first solo project as stop-motion director, but also features the iconic fictional dinosaur Rhedosaurus. Similar to Pterodactyl Woman from Beverly Hills, Tammy and the T-Rex is another 90s dinosaur film with an absolutely insane premise. Denise Richards stars as the titular Tammy, whose boyfriend Michael is killed by her jealous ex Billy. Michael's brain is eventually extracted and implanted in a robotic T-Rex model that comes to life and goes on a bloody rampage. Yeah, it's insane. 1998's T-Rex Back to the Cretaceous is one that I have a lot of strong nostalgic memories of. Teenager Allie Hayden is really fascinated with dinosaurs thanks to her dad, who's a paleontologist, and she somehow manages to travel back to the late Cretaceous to see many different fauna from that time, including the titular T-Rex. It's a fun little IMAX short film and one that I recommend checking out. 1948's Unknown Island is notable for being one of the first dinosaur movies to actually be filmed in color, and is also notable for having a really ugly ground sloth that gets in a fight with a T-Rex. No, your eyes don't deceive you. Even though it has a horn and more than 2 fingers, this is meant to be a T-Rex, not a Ceratosaurus. And the Tyrannosaurs would be brought to life through the Godzilla technique of using a man in a suit, though it's not nearly as effectively done here. 1969's The Valley of Gwangi is one of my all-time favorite dinosaur movies, easily in the top 5 for me. This underrated gem is a wonderful mixture of cowboys and stop-motion dinosaurs brought to life by, you guessed it, Ray Harryhausen. It originally started as an idea conceived by Willis O'Brien, and Harryhausen was able to bring it to life beautifully, with fun characters, an engaging premise, and one of the best dinosaur antagonists ever put to screen with the titular Gwangi. If you haven't seen The Valley of Gwangi, I highly recommend it. One of my all-time favorite dinosaur movies and my second favorite Ray Harryhausen movie, only behind Jason and the Argonauts. Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women is yet another dinosaur movie where we encounter beautiful women living alongside dinosaurs, only this time it's in space. And finally, to close out the movie portion of the collection, we have 1970's When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth, which I've always seen as sort of a spiritual successor to 1 Million Years BC. And then moving on to the TV show portion of the collection, we have the first 3 seasons of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous on DVD. the only 3 seasons worth owning in my opinion. Then we also have the Dinotopia collection, which includes both the miniseries as well as the 13-episode series, the latter of which I have very strong nostalgic memories of watching as a kid. Then we have the original 1974 Land of the Lost series by Sid and Marty Krofft, as well as their 1991 reboot series. Then we have the 1999 TV series of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, as well as the 2001 miniseries from the BBC, which also involved the same special effects team that worked on the Walking With series. And then we get to my personal favorite TV show of all time, which is Primeval. And as a hardcore fan of the show, I'm proud to say that I own the entire series on DVD. Volume 1 contains Seasons 1 and 2, Volume 2 contains all of Season 3, and Volume 3 contains Seasons 4 and 5, as well as the webisodes. I also own the Canadian spin-off Primeval New World, an underrated show that had a lot of potential but was sadly canceled too soon. Same fate goes for another prematurely canceled show, that being Terra Nova. And now we get to the final portion of the collection, that being the documentaries. And I'm going to go a little bit out of the loose alphabetical order I've been doing and just focus on the Walking With series and the subsequent spiritual series done by Impossible Pictures first. Because in my opinion, you know, these are the gold standards of what a dinosaur documentary should be. And therefore, I feel like they deserve that special treatment. So starting off, we have the Ultimate Dinosaur Collection from 2007, which contains Walking With Monsters, Walking With Dinosaurs, Allosaurus, The Ballad of Big Al, Chased by Dinosaurs, and Sea Monsters. This set holds a special place in my heart as it was my introduction to the Walking With franchise. I vividly remember getting this set for Christmas in 2007, and similar to seeing Jurassic Park for the first time, watching all of these series made me the Walking With fanatic that I am today. Just a shame that it didn't include Walking With Beasts. Fortunately, that would be remedied with the Prehistoric Earth and Natural History Walking With collection, which not only includes the aforementioned Walking With Beasts, my personal favorite series in the Walking With franchise, but also includes Walking With Monsters, which for some reason here in America was called Before the Dinosaurs, Walking With Dinosaurs, Allosaurus, and Walking With Cavemen, as well as a ton of great special features. I also have just another standard BBC video DVD of Chased by Dinosaurs, which also includes Sea Monsters. And then I also have Prehistoric Park, which I think needs no introduction, as this show touched the hearts of many dinosaur and paleo enthusiasts in their childhood, myself being one of them. I also have Dragon's World, a fantasy made real, which sort of acts as a spiritual spin-off to the Walking With franchise, as it includes animation done by Framestore, who also worked on the Walking With series, and includes an awesome fight between a T-Rex and a prehistoric dragon. Moving on from the Walking With franchise, we have Beyond Jurassic Park, which is a DVD compilation of many of the behind-the-scenes documentaries and special features on the Jurassic Park trilogy. Dinosaur 13, a phenomenal documentary from 2014 going over the discovery and bidding war regarding Sue the T-Rex. Dinosaur Apocalypse, which focuses on the end of the dinosaurs, hosted by Sir David Attenborough. Dinosaur Wars from PBS focuses on the infamous bone wars between American paleontologists Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope. Dinosaurs, the history of dinosaurs in Hollywood, focuses on basically what it says, dinosaurs in Hollywood movies. This was a really weird and sort of random find that I discovered on eBay for about $5. I guess it was originally from the Dayton Metro Library, but yeah, I got it on eBay and I haven't actually watched it yet, but I do own it. Then we have a double feature of a couple of 3D IMAX dinosaur documentaries, those being Dinosaurs Alive and Dinosaurs Giants of Patagonia. And then we have the Essential Dinosaur Pack, and this just screams nostalgic childhood memories every time I look at it. It's basically a compilation of many of the most notable dinosaur documentaries from the early 2000s by Discovery Channel. The documentaries included in this set are The Valley of the T-Rex, which is quite possibly the worst dinosaur documentary ever made due to just how blatantly dishonest it is. T-Rex, New Science, New Beast, When Dinosaurs Roamed America, one of my all-time favorites. Utah's Dino Graveyard, Dinosaur Planet, which is another one that I think a lot of paleo enthusiasts are familiar with, The Mystery Dinosaur, an underrated paleo documentary surrounding the controversy regarding Jane, the theropod, in regards to whether or not she is a Nanotyrannus or a juvenile T-Rex. And finally, it also includes Dinosaur's Return to Life, which is basically just Jack Horner obsessing over if he can make a Chickenosaurus. Next, we have this Classics Dinosaurs collection from the History Channel. And if you don't know what this is, the back of the cover gives it away with the episode titles. This is actually the infamous dinosaur documentary series Jurassic Fight Club. Why the cover doesn't say that, I have no idea, but regardless, it's Jurassic Fight Club. Next, we have Monsters Resurrected, also known as Mega Beasts in some areas. Prehistoric America, which basically focuses on the Ice Age 14,000 years ago. I also own foreign Blu-ray copies of both seasons of Prehistoric Planet, the greatest dinosaur documentary series ever made in my opinion, and at this point I think it'll be a long time before anything tops it. Prehistoric Predators, which goes over some of the most notable mammalian predators from the Cenozoic. Planet Dinosaur, narrated by the late great John Hurt, a documentary that I know is beloved by a lot of paleo enthusiasts, but I personally have always found this one to be quite overrated. Hot take, I know. Sea Monsters, a prehistoric adventure, a fun IMAX 3D documentary focusing on marine reptiles during the Mesozoic, narrated by Cotton himself, Liev Schreiber.
It's Diane Sawyer. Hello.
And last, but kind of not least, we end off the entire home video collection with The Truth About Killer Dinosaurs. Again, similar to Jurassic Fight Club, I don't know why this DVD is called Predator Dinosaurs, because I've watched it and it is clearly just The Truth About Killer Dinosaurs. So yeah, guys, that was basically my entire dinosaur home video collection. I hope you enjoyed watching and maybe even found it informative. Whenever I do these kind of videos, I always hope to introduce people, particularly younger generations, to more obscure movies or series that they may not have known about otherwise. So if there was a particular movie or show or even documentary in this collection that you were curious to check out and wanted to know how you could get your hands on it, just feel free to ask me in the comments. Also, feel free to comment what consists in your dinosaur home video collection. I'd love to see what y'all have. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all had a great Jurassic June, and until next time, see ya, take care.